The year is 1996, and a young Kobe Bryant is getting ready for the draft. Entering the league straight out of high school, he was drafted with the 13th overall pick, but not by the team we all know him for. He was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. Now you might be wondering, if the Hornets were able to get him, why did he never actually play a game for them, and how did he end up on the Lakers for his entire career? Well, that's because the Charlotte Hornets decided to trade Kobe Bryant on draft night for Vlade Divac. Obviously, in hindsight, this is one of the dumbest trades ever. They traded away a future top 10 player ever for basically nothing. But what if Kobe never got traded? This was the same offseason that Shaquille O'Neal signed with the Lakers, and if the Lakers had kept Vlade Divac, we likely would have never seen this. Kobe could have been teamed up with Baron Davis just 3 years later, the Hornets could have finally won a championship, Shaq might not have any rings, the Sacramento Kings could have won a championship, and everything we know about the NBA today will be drastically different. Legacies completely changed, all because of one trade almost 30 years ago. And this is just one of the many butterfly effects in NBA history that would have changed everything. The butterfly effect is different from just a what if. Things happen that seem small and insignificant, but if you were to just change one thing, it would drastically change everything else in ways you could not imagine. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the craziest butterfly effects in NBA history.
And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
It's debatably the greatest shot in NBA history, and won the Cavs the championship in 2016. At the time, all we could think about was how clutch of a shot this was, and how the Cavs had just come back 3-1 to win the championship. But nobody could have imagined how important this shot would be years later. This shot genuinely changed the NBA forever, and I'll explain why. But first, let's just imagine if Kyrie missed this shot. Nobody had scored in minutes at this point in the game, so there is still a chance that the Cavs could have won if Kyrie missed. But let's just say Kyrie misses the shot, the Warriors score, and they end up taking home the championship for the second year in a row. Kevin Durant has come out and said that he never would have joined the Warriors if they had won the championship. So this would have prevented the Warriors from getting KD, which erases one of the greatest teams ever, and Kevin Durant's legacy may look a lot different. Who knows, he may have even won a championship in OKC alongside Russell Westbrook. So Kevin Durant would have gotten respect for not winning with a super team, and Westbrook would have a championship to his name. It's definitely not a guarantee this would have happened, but OKC took the Warriors to 7 games in the playoffs when the Warriors were at their best. So it's not a stretch to imagine that they could have gone all the way. Steph Curry likely would have won his first ever finals MVP in the series, and the Warriors would have just had the greatest season ever, going 73-9 and then winning the championship. There's not much better than that. People discredit this Golden State season all the time just because they lost in the finals, but if they would have won, it wouldn't even be a discussion. Like, they'd be the best team ever, undoubtedly. Especially if after this season, they were able to go on a three-peat. The trio of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green would be cemented in the history books forever, which they already are today, but Kevin Durant joining kinda shifted the spotlight from them while he was there. And lastly, how this would have affected LeBron's legacy. We all know how determined LeBron was to bring a championship to Cleveland, but if they would have lost in the finals 2 years in a row, it's hard to say what would have happened. Their confidence likely would have been shot, and if LeBron would have never been able to bring Cleveland that championship, it would have tarnished his legacy as we know it today. Legacies changed, careers altered in ways that we can't even imagine, and possibly the scope of the NBA completely changing because of this one shot. I mean, look at what happened after Kevin Durant joined the Warriors. Teams became obsessed with building the next unstoppable super team, and it's all because of KD's move. And none of this would have happened because of one three-pointer. When you think of Michael Jordan, you think of the championships, the dunks, the shoes, and Space Jam. But most of all, you're thinking of the red, white, and black Chicago Bulls uniforms. The team he played for basically his entire career if you ignore that stint he had with the Wizards. Even today, people associate the Bulls with Michael Jordan. But did you know this almost wasn't the case? Even though he went on to be one of, if not the greatest player of all time, he wasn't drafted until the 3rd overall pick. Hakeem Olajuwon was drafted number 1, which made sense back then. He was the clear number 1 to everybody at the time. But the guy drafted number 2 is what confuses people so much today. Sam Bowie was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers with the 2nd overall pick. Then Jordan was drafted next by the Chicago Bulls. Sam Bowie went on to be a very average NBA player, and today he's pretty much just known as the guy who got drafted before MJ. But what if the Blazers didn't make this huge mistake and they drafted MJ with the 2nd pick? He'd still be wearing the red, white, and black, except this time as a Trailblazer. They already had Clyde Drexler on the team, which is why they didn't draft Jordan, but we've seen MJ play at the point guard before and excel at it, and this would have made for a dangerous backcourt. But we likely never would have seen Jordan win all the championships that he won with the Bulls if he had stayed with the Blazers. We could have seen Scottie Pippen be the standout leader for the first time on the Chicago Bulls and potentially boost his ranking all time. This is one of the butterfly effects that would have just not been as fun to see. I'm sure the Blazers regret their decision, but they did already have one of the best shooting guards in NBA history, and who knows how he would have turned out in Portland. There has been a total of 148 Game 7s in NBA playoff history. And out of every Game 7 ever played, there has only been one ended by a buzzer beater. That came in 2019 in the semifinals between the Raptors and the 76ers when Kawhi Leonard hit the most ridiculous buzzer beater ever. The ball bounced around the hoop a total of 4 times and then finally went in. Some people call it luck, but regardless, he hit the shot and ended the 76ers season. But what if this shot didn't bounce in and the game went into overtime? I mean, the ball bounced 4 times before going in. It's not crazy to imagine the shot bouncing out. And the amount that could have changed if just one of these bounces went off the rim in any other way is unbelievable. So let's just say the shot misses and it goes into overtime. The Raptors easily still could have won the game. Kawhi was on fire and they had a really good chance. But the 76ers also could have stole the game. And just for the fun of it, let's imagine they did. This would have ended Kawhi's run with the Raptors prematurely, and he definitely still would have left to join the Clippers. But without this playoff run and finals MVP, Kawhi's legacy would get shot down a lot. The 76ers would have matched up against the Bucks in the conference finals, and let's be honest, we all know how this would go. The Bucks would have easily gotten through the Sixers and probably went on to win the championship. But if the Sixers did just decently in the conference finals, the Sixers front office may have had a lot more confidence in this team. Because after they lost to the Raptors, they instantly decided to trade Jimmy Butler from the team, and basically got nothing but Tobias Harris in return. At the time, Jimmy hadn't done anything like he has today, and we all had no clue the player he was about to turn into. But a season later, after he was traded to the Miami Heat, he led his team to the finals, and since then he's proved over and over how great he is. And if the Sixers didn't trade him and traded somebody like Ben Simmons earlier, the 76ers could have easily been serious contenders and possibly champions by now. Embiid would have had another top-level star that wants to win as bad as him, and it would have saved their franchise from the past 4 years of early playoff exits.
Malone is doubled. They swat at it and steal it. Here comes Chicago. 17 seconds. 17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Possibly the greatest shot in NBA history came from possibly the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan. And it happened in his very last game. Again, we are forgetting that the Wizards' Michael Jordan ever happened. In his last game with the Bulls, it was Game 6 of the 1998 Finals against the Utah Jazz. Down 1 point in the 4th quarter, Jordan had the ball with 7 seconds left and hits the mid-range shot to win the game. It's iconic and everybody has seen this before. But imagine if he missed this shot. With the game on the line in his final season, he misses the game winner and the Jazz take home the victory. There's a lot of elements to this and a lot of different possibilities. This would have forced the series to a Game 7, and while there's a good chance the Bulls still would have won the game, Jordan wins his 6th championship and leaves the same way he did. But there's also a chance that the Jazz steal the series and win, and this would drastically change every conversation we have about Michael Jordan today. And you can't say that the Jazz had no chance to win in Game 7. They already forced the series to 6 games, and they were literally 1 possession away from winning Game 6 and forcing it to 7. So if the Utah Jazz were able to steal Game 7, Michael Jordan would have been 5-1 in the finals instead of his famous 6-0. And after what we learned from The Last Dance and interviews with Bulls players, this was the last season the Bulls dynasty was going to be together. Like, this was it, and for a run like they had to end with the Jazz winning, it's a sad thought, all because of one shot. One moment in seconds that could have drastically changed the careers and legacies of everybody from then on. The possibilities are endless, and we see different parts of the butterfly effect every single year, and it's what makes this sport so amazing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but that's all I've got for today. Thank you all for watching. And with that being said, I'm out of here, and I'll see you on the next one.